The James Show Podcast.
Charlie Kirk shot Utah Valley University. He hasn't been declared dead yet, but from the close-up I saw, I don't see how he survives that. If he does, it's a miracle. If he does, then thoughts and prayers really do work, because there was a lot of blood, and humans only have about 2 liters at any given time. And I saw most of that come out of him before he even hit the floor. It's bad. Don't watch it. Don't, unless you just want to get ginned up and have your day ruined. Don't watch it. But this is a string of violence that just keeps happening. Gavin Newsom just tweeted in the last hour, the attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form. Well, it's not coming from every form. It's only coming from your side, sir. And I don't know what flavor of left it's coming from, but it's all coming from one side. Whose baseball practice got shot up? Is it a free Palestinian or a pro-Israeli person that ran through the crowd on Bourbon Street earlier this year? Or blowtorch some elderly Jewish neighbors in Colorado, or shot the 2 Jewish diplomats? Was that a free Palestine or a pro-Israel person? Did angry Christians, go shoot up a trans drag show, or did an angry trans person go shoot up Christian schools? A couple of them in the last 2 years. Which side is the violence coming from? Anyone get shot at a Tea Party rally? Did we lose 6 DART police officers here in Dallas at a Tea Party rally, or was it a BLM rally? Yeah. So why Charlie Kirk? I'm going to play you why Charlie Kirk, because this guy has been running around dismantling the narrative. He's been really effective in reaching the younger generation, so much so that Gen Z is the most conservative college-age cohort you've seen in your entire life. And it's for viral videos like this. At one of the events, just like the one he was at today, someone came up to the mic and they challenged him. How dare you say America's a Christian nation? How could you say that? And they gave their little evidence, but no, they were atheists and whatever. It was only mentioned in the Declaration 4 times. And his response to that, it's 5 minutes. I'm going to play you the whole thing. It's fantastic. You need to listen to every second of this. And if you want a copy of this, it's online. Go find it. Pass this around. But this is why Charlie Kirk was in their targets.
Remember that we were a collection of states and colonies, and you need to read the state constitutions before anything else. 9 out of 13 of the original states required you to be a Bible-believing Christian to serve in government at the time of the founding. You could, even in actually, 13 out of 13 required a declaration of faith. 9 out of 13 required you to be a Protestant, except Maryland, which was Catholic, which still required a declaration of faith. In almost every single one of the original state constitutions, Pennsylvania included, they had, I profess Lord and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior in the original state constitutions. So you remember, we're a collection of states before that. Secondly, 55 out of 56 of the original signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. You asked about common law. So common law is inherited from Blackstone, who was Christian. Common law is an outgrowth of the Scriptures. So let's go to 3 principles of common law. Presumption of innocence, due process, and jury of your peers. All 3 are biblical principles. So, and all wrapped into the ultimate biblical principle that you shall not favor justice if you are rich or poor, which is in Leviticus 19, right before the most famous part of Leviticus 19, which is that you should love your neighbor as yourself. But before that is that in the administration of justice, you shall not favor the rich or the poor, which is the idea of blind justice. We get that in the West, which is incorporated also in the New Testament ideal. Neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, you're all one in Jesus Christ, which we get the idea of human equality. These are all biblical ideas. They're not Enlightenment ideas, which is they kind of get conflated at the time. But more importantly than that, they say that God was only mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Well, that's a big deal. Okay. Laws of nature and nature's God. The last paragraph of the Declaration reads as a prayer. It says, we appeal to the supreme judge of the universe. Who's the judge of the universe? Jesus Christ, as it says in Revelation, that Jesus will judge the earth on his throne. So in the Declaration, they were praying to Christ our Lord as a prayer very specifically. Thirdly, as I said on stage yesterday, Deuteronomy was by far the most quoted book, religious or non-religious, in the time of the founding when they were putting together the Constitution, more than John Locke, more than Montesquieu, more than Blackstone. So the book of Deuteronomy, which talked about laws, customs, traditions. It was Moses' farewell address as he's about to say goodbye, say, hey, good luck in Canaan, guys. here's how you should set up your form of government. But finally, and most importantly, let's look at actually what the founders said. John Adams famously said the Constitution was only written for a moral, religious people. It was wholly inadequate for the people of any other. The body politic of America was so Christian and was so Protestant that our form and structure of government was built for the people that believed in Christ our Lord. One of the reasons we're living through a constitutional crisis is that we no longer have a Christian nation, but we have a Christian form of government, and they're incompatible. So you cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population. So that's just a surface level belief. So then they'll go to the First Amendment, which has two parts of the First Amendment which get conflated. First of all, separation of church and state is not the U.S. Constitution. That is a single letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1807 to the Danbury Baptist Convention in Massachusetts, assuring them that the government would not come after the church, okay, which is the opposite of what they would say. However, that was then resurrected by the Warren Court and the Burger Court in the 60s, where they said, hey, all of a sudden we're now going to make this as if it's the Constitution. It does say in the Constitution two things, which is the Establishment Clause and the Free Expression Clause. The Establishment Clause is that Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof. What they were most worried about was a Presbyterian or a Anglican or a Quaker type religion taking over the federal government. Instead, it was that there is not going to be a state-run religion or a state-run government. Did you know that one of the first acts of Congress was taxpayer-funded Bible printing and distribution? Did you know that there were church services held in the Supreme Court building as late as the Jackson presidency in the 1820s? But going back to this idea of separation of church and state, and again, I could riff on this ad nauseum because it's just so ridiculous, right? Is that it's not biblical because first, it's not biblical. It's not constitutional because you go a layer deeper. People that even say that, do you believe in separation of morality and state? Nobody does. So all laws are a reflection of morality, and all morality comes from somewhere. There is no such thing as neutral morality, and we believe what the founders believe because they put it in the halls of Congress, they put it in the Supreme Court, and they put it all throughout the country, which is that the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments, is the core morality of how a society and a civilization should exist, right? The Ten Commandments of every person. And finally, and this is the kicker, if the Founding Fathers were not Bible-believing church-saying Christians, why did they put Leviticus on Liberty Bell? Not John, not Psalms, not Proverbs, not Genesis, Leviticus. Most Americans can't spell Leviticus. Leviticus 25:19, proclaim liberty throughout the land of which you are in. It is one of the most sinister, most unsubstantiated lies that does not come up against any sort of academic scrutiny. This idea that Founding Fathers were a bunch of Enlightenment common law deists. The reason they hate it is because the reason they must say this is that if we actually go back to our Christian roots, and we go back to where we once were, it's America's best hope for revival and for a great future.
See why they had to get rid of him? Who passed me this? Jamie? Jamie, what is wrong with people? He sent me a screenshot of Charlie Kirk's Wikipedia page where some editors have already declared him dead. It's like a bunch of ghouls. You bunch of evil ghouls. We have a father and a husband who is fighting for his life, got shot in the neck on the receiving end of politically motivated violence. Assassinated is what it should be called, is what it will be called if he doesn't make it. And you guys are already dunking on his Wikipedia page? Absolute ghouls. Hey, Left, this is on you. This is on everyone who stands by when half the country's called Nazis. This is for everyone who stands by. And even if you don't say it yourself, the fact that you don't shout these people down, because you would shout down your friend if they were saying the N-word in public, wouldn't you? But you don't shout them down when they call half the country Nazis, half the country literally Hitler, half the country, they're a threat to democracy. We're the threat to democracy. It's not looking good for Charlie Kirk. I hope he makes it. And really, for you people, especially MSNBC, CNN, left-wingers, political activists on the left of any stripe, you better hope to God this guy lives. Because if he doesn't, you just made one hell of a martyr. And you think we were ticked off after Trump got shot, or after the Charlotte stabbing, or after the ICE ambush in Alvarado and Brownsville, the chucking of bricks, the assassination of a Dallas cop last year? You don't want to see what's going to happen if this guy doesn't make it. Let's go to the phones. Oh, my God. Some of y'all been waiting forever. Sorry. Bill Pottsboro, you're on WBAP.
Yeah, this is why the left screams about gun control, because they're afraid we're going to act like they do. If all of us Republicans and conservatives, ultra-conservative, I'm ultra-conservative. Rush Limbaugh was too far to the left for me. But I'm an ultra-conservative person, and they're afraid that we are going to act like them. That's why they want to take the guns. If we acted like them, there would be none of them left. We don't do that. We vote them out of office. We sit there and listen to Nancy Pelosi run her mouth and Chuck Schumer run his mouth for 40, 50, 60 years and do nothing except try to vote them out of office, try to put candidates out there that will get them out of there, and then they continue to spew their garbage that create problems like this. They're the Nazis. They're the ones that don't want us to have the freedom to choose whether we drive an electric car or a gas car. They're the ones that want to make sure that we don't have guns. They're the ones that want to make sure we can't have gas stoves. Not us. Not us. And I believe that we need to be as responsible as we can possibly be. We should recycle. We should do everything we could possibly do to save this planet and to do the right thing. But it does not need to be legislated by a bunch of people in the government to do that. We should just want to do that. And I believe that the Christian people do. This is just ridiculous. I'm so tired of listening to the left just spew their garbage over and over again when it's them that's the problem.
Well, I
don't understand it.
They don't want to have the conversation because it's a conversation that they're going to lose. But when the Charlottesville death happened, where the guy who in his own social media feed said he's a white supremacist, when he was escaping the mob and he pulled his car through the crowd and ran over a couple people and Heather Heyer died, we didn't have to have a conversation about cars. We didn't have to have a conversation about mental illness. They rightfully identified the ideology behind the guy who was driving the car as the problem. And we've been beat over the head with it ever since. But we didn't have that conversation when Trump got shot twice.
Nope.
We didn't have that conversation with the Free Palestine lady that shot up the Joel Osteen Church, or any of the gender goblins that have shot at schools and bars across America. We didn't have it with this guy right here, Charlie Kirk, getting shot. Are we going to have the conversation out? Leftism. Y'all have a problem with violence. Y'all have a problem with politically motivated violence. You need to do something about it.
The only guy that's saying anything about it right now is Gavin Newsom, who thinks he's going to be. Well, I guess Nancy Pelosi came out and said we're praying for him too. But the bottom line is this: you know what? 15 seconds after they say it, they're smiling or drinking their champagne or doing whatever they want to do.
Well, and he's doing the both sides thing. He's like, well, and I condemn political violence on from any side. Well, it's not coming from our side. Thank you very much, Mark Little Elm. You're on WBAP.
Boy, what a day. I just want to say a couple things real quick. I agree with that gentleman, and I agree with that lady that called earlier. And what you said, there need to be 4 or 5 of us. And what I believe is that on the moment he was shot, there should be a time where we all get together and we go out in our front yard and we say, I am Charlie Kirk. And a lot of people should say, I am Charlie Kirk, because they're not going to win. And I'm so pissed right now. The Kubler-Ross chart, I went from denial to pissed. So I just have to calm down a little bit, but that's all I had to say.
No, you're right to feel that way. We're being hunted. If anyone's being hunted, if anyone's on the receiving end of politically motivated or ideologically motivated violence, it's us. And I think we're handling it pretty well. We're not going to riot. We're not going to block any highways. We're not going to chuck a brick through the front window of a Foot Locker and go get some new Air Force Ones. Because we're not the bad people in society, are we? They're still saying shot. It's not official that he's died. I don't see how he lives. There's a close-up video of it. He's hit right in the neck, just to the left of his trachea. And I saw what appeared to be a liter of blood come out of him before he even slid off his stool and hit the ground. Now, there's reports that he still had a pulse. The internet rumors are now turning south, where people are saying, listen, I'm hearing that he didn't make it. And I don't want to give you false hope here, but Megyn Kelly, who you just heard on the James Show yesterday, was just doing a quick chat with Victor Davis Hanson and Glenn Beck. And Glenn Beck said he heard from someone who knows that Kirk still has a pulse.
I just read your tweet to the audience. Are you hearing that from people who are in a position to know that Charlie
I am.
that he's alive and that he's in critical?
I am.
All right, Glenn's crying, but that's 25 minutes ago. The reaction is already disgusting. MSNBC, when the news first broke, people are passing this clip around already. You know, they don't have their talking points yet. They're just going to kind of riff off the top of their neck here, kind of roll with the punches and improv as news is breaking in front of them. Then you get a real ugly glimpse of what these people think when they don't have their notes already arranged.
Then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's...
Yeah. Yeah, you can't say hateful things that we disagree with and expect to not get shot. Really, MSNBC? Y'all have a problem. We don't have a problem. There's not a problem with political violence in this country. There's a problem with left-wing political violence in this country. It wasn't the Democrat baseball team that got shot up when they were at practice. There hasn't been any attacks on the Free Palestine movement, even when they're blocking college campuses for months at a time, blocking roads, blocking airports. Let's get back to the phones. Gene in Fort Worth, you're on WBAP.
Hey, Charlie. I'm a nurse of 38 years. I've seen the video. I don't hold out a lot of hope unless Trump loaned him the beast for the day. Because, they carry the president's blood, in the beast. So unless Charlie Kirk's got his own beast and they could give him some blood, it doesn't sound good at all.
Well, I don't have no real medical training or licensing at all. But the internet people who seem to know what they're talking about, they say that they wouldn't have even taken him in the hospital if he didn't at least have the pulse. So,
well,
is that true?
Well, they will try on a young person. They will try for hours. They will do CPR for hours, and now the paramedics have a device where it can do CPR for them, and it's really brutal. And it may not even be possible on somebody with a big wound like that. But yeah, on a young person, they'll try for a couple hours.
It doesn't look good, though, does it?
No, not at all. I watched that video. It's like, oh, you're right. It's like a leader easily came out, just what we saw in the video. And I'm going to say what everybody else is thinking, but hadn't said out loud.
Say it.
Professional hit.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. I haven't said that yet. It kind of does need to be said. Because if it is from 200 yards, well, I don't know. That guy that shot at Trump last year.
Shot. One.
Yeah, and it was right in the neck.
He knew what he was doing, whoever he is.
Well, if it's confirmed, we'll remember you said it first, Gene. Thank you.
There you go.
All right. Thanks for calling.
I'm praying for him.
That's all we can do.
Bye-bye.
Barbara Prosper, you're on WBAP.
Hey there. Thank you so much for taking my call. Prayers. My heart is heavy. And what I'm not hearing is the concept of deterrence. So when I was in high school, my parents said, you will be home at 10 p.m. I walk in the door at 10:02. It was not pleasant. So therefore, the rest of my high school days, I'm home by 10 p.m. So I think that there needs to be something that deters this kind of behavior. So once that guilty verdict is in, the time between then and the rest of that person's life needs to be very painful and public. So to deter future incidents, what do you think?
Yeah, and this comes up in some of these other incidences and some of these other mass shootings or whatnot. The idea that we need to bring back public execution, it needs to be swift. It doesn't have to be brutal. It doesn't have to be Byzantine. We don't have to put someone in an Iron Maiden or draw and quarter them like at the end of Braveheart. Even if it's a lethal injection, people need to see that with their own eyes, and that messaging is powerful. And for the people who are this evil or What is it? Only 28% of working age adults can read above the third grade level. They'll get the message with that. They don't have to read any complex thoughts or enlightenment ideals. They'll see someone be put to sleep for being a criminal. And yeah, I totally agree. The deterrence, this whole being nice, being soft on crime, being sympathetic and hurt people. It's getting people hurt. Not to extend a terrible terrible metaphor. More callers and updates on Charlie Kirk. In fact, they changed one of the headlines. Suspect not in custody is the new update. Charlie Kirk shot at Utah Valley University, fighting for his life. Still not officially declared dead yet, but it is not looking good. Stay with us on the James Show. 800-288-9227. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.
Don't miss Megyn Kelly live on stage at Dickies Arena on Saturday, October 25th with special guests Glenn Beck, Mark Halperin, Link Lauren. Get tickets now at MegynKelly.com. Presented by Wi-Fi Refi and SiriusXM.
Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield. And look, Rhino Shield is something that everyone is going to be doing in about 5 or 10 years. Remember the first time you saw a cell phone and you're like, I don't see why anyone would ever need to have, spend that kind of money just so they can walk around and talk to people at the mall. Now everyone has a cell phone. Well, paint's obsolete now. Rhino Shield is the technology that has replaced paint for your home. And it just does things that paint can't. You're dumb not to do it. You're making a big mistake if you don't. Because, look, if you paint your house, you may save a couple bucks in the meantime, but when you have to redo it in 5 to 10 years, and then you have to redo it again after 5 to 10 years, then you have to, who's really making a smart decision here? Because Rhino Shield doesn't chip. It doesn't flake. You're not going to have to come back and change it in 10 years. In fact, it has a 25-year transferable warranty, and it's probably going to last longer than that. It bonds to everything: brick, hardy board, wood, metal, aluminum, stucco. Your paint doesn't reflect 90% of UV rays. Rhino Shield does. It has a 6.9 R factor. I don't even know what that means, but I know paint can't do it. So if it's time to repaint your house, don't use paint. Shield your home with Rhino Shield. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. All right. Sorry, I have to tell you the bad news first. Charlie Kirk is now reported to be dead. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Charlie Kirk, right-wing influencer, conservative activist, doing an event, Utah Valley University. He was shot right before the James Show started. People were filming the event. It looked like there's maybe 2,000 people in the crowd. So a lot of people had their cell phones up and caught the moment it happened. A lot of us have seen the close-up video, and it looked bad. But it just became Donald Trump said Charlie Kirk's dead after the shooting. So now Fox News, MSNBC, they're reporting that Trump said Charlie Kirk is dead. That's where it's coming from. It looked bad. More than prayers could fix this time. And, we were wanting to sit down and talk on the show with you today about how a reckoning needs to happen because of all the violence, of all the politically motivated violence, ideologically motivated violence, as opposed to someone stealing a loaf of bread to feed their kids. It's all coming from one side. And I'm tired of being called, Nazi and Hitler and scary and threat to democracy. Tired of being told, we're on the verge of a civil war. I'm leaving this country. We're not the scary ones. We're not the ones that are shooting at the other side. We're not going to their place of worship and shooting at their children. We're not going to their events on a college campus and shooting at them. And even before the shooting, protesting and burning crap down, getting people kicked off. We don't do that. It's not anyone in a MAGA hat or a Trump voter that's stabbing random people and racially motivated violence on public transportation, is it? We're not blowtorching the elderly grandparents of our perceived political enemies like in Colorado. We're not shooting them when they come out of Jewish museums like in D.C. We're not attacking ICE officers and shooting at them in Alvarado and Brownsville. We're not chucking bricks at moving cars from bridges like in Los Angeles. We're not shooting at their congressional team's baseball practice. And every time it happens, it gets dismissed. Oh, it's just mental illness. We got to do something about mental illness. No, we have to do something about the mental illness of leftism in this country. Raven Harrison's my next guest. She's a regular on the James Show. You're kind of a perfect person to talk to at this time. We just learned unofficially Charlie Kirk is dead. I call this an assassination. Your thoughts, Raven?
That's exactly what it was, James. And I want to start out by saying this is one of the most difficult things I've had to do, because Charlie Kirk is not just somebody. He was a mentor. He was a friend. And, we have a Democrat violence problem. My team says, don't keep it political. It is political. He was a husband. He was a father. He was a businessman. He created jobs. He supported elections. He stood for what he believed in. And he never called for inciting violence against anybody. He liked to debate. He would walk into the belly of the beast to debate anyone, anytime. And people need to remember that. I saw the video. They shot him in the neck, okay, and let him bleed out. His children were in the tent behind him. And the heartbreak is that his children are going to have to hear about what an amazing father they had from other people. The left has gone crazy, but this is also on the backs of the Republicans and the spineless GOP who refuse to step up to the plate and to start prosecuting criminals. I can name at least 10 people in our government who have incited this kind of violence, who glorify this kind of violence, and none of them have seen the inside of a jail cell. None of them are wearing handcuffs. None of them. They're walking free, spewing. And then when this happens, have you seen MSNBC? He was a divisive character. He was a human. So any moral argument the left has forevermore is gone. You have made him a martyr. Okay, you killed somebody you didn't agree with. You shot somebody, but you scream about gun control. You are angry with anybody who doesn't agree with your point of view, and you think that entitles you to take somebody's life. And James, I'm with you. This is not going to end the way they think it is. We are tired of being labeled everything that the left is doing. But this way over, 31 years old, and a father of two is now dead because the Democrats keep shooting people.
Raven Harrison, they didn't tamp down the language after Trump got shot and was bleeding from the ear. They didn't tamp down the language after the ICE agents got shot just down the road here in Alvarado. They didn't tamp it down. I mean, they should have tamped it down, when there were some fire bombings of Tesla dealerships. They could have tamped it down after the Free Palestinian people shot up the Joel Osteen Church or the DC Museum or the blowtorch guy in Colorado. And if they don't tamp it down now, I mean, how far are they going to take this?
They shouldn't have had the choice to tamp it down. They should have been arrested. That's what normally happens to people when they break the law, when they incite violence, when they do that. In fact, they accused Trump of faking it. They said, oh, he faked it. It could have been, the plastic from the teleprompter. Oh, really? What broke the plastic? Was it a bullet? We have heard more about the Catholic school shooter than we did about the person who tried to assassinate the president. And this is what happens. Nobody faces consequence. And this is to all of them. I am done holding back with it. Bondi, Kosh, all of you who have allowed these criminals, we're going to have an investigation. You know what? Save it. People need to go to jail. This is not how our society is run. We don't run around shooting people. And the Democrats own this, and not one of them has taken responsibility for this. We actually got a better heartfelt message from Greasy Gavin out in California than we did from MSNBC, who were rushing to, well, maybe the shooter was celebrating. Are you kidding me? How would you like your kids to hear that your father was decisive in everything as a reason and a justification for him not being there to watch you graduate or get married? People have to start remembering you've let yourself become consumed with hate. This is not how we as a people solve problems. We disagree. We win some, we lose some, but we live to fight another day. And I just wanted today, I was arranging right before we called you, James, or before we got on with you, to go up there and see if I could give blood or to go help his family, who has got to be reeling right now. But I will leave this open to Charlie Kirk and his wife, and, goodbye, my friend. And I promise you, your brothers and sisters will pick up the fight. We will continue. We will press forward. And this is not going to be the end of this chapter. And thank you for everything that you have done to try to uplift conservatives, Christians. You stood for God and you stood for the rule of law. And your brothers and sisters now, rest easy. With the war continues. And that's important for all of you. Get involved. Elections matter. That's why it matters who we have up there. No more. Little bit of corruption. Well, it's better than a Democrat. No, it's not. Everybody's gone. If you're not serving America, then you're gone.
Raven.
We need to start removing.
Yeah, we got to take a news break here. That was great. I appreciate it. RavenHarrison.com is her website. It's a tough day. Thanks for a good 7 minutes there, Raven. Appreciate it.
Keep up the good fight. Thank you.
All right. We continue the terrible news. Charlie Kirk shot and killed, assassinated at Utah Valley University. More on the James Show coming up. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.